As a cardinal sign, Libra does quite well in the spring. Even if your opposite sign might be the one taking the wheel, this is still a season of action and making things happen, and that's all cardinal energy is all about. This April is even more special if we consider that the ruler of your sign, Venus, will be exalted for most of the month, gifting you with some serious support, but more on that later. The first real important transit of the month is the new moon in your 7th house that happens right on the first day of the month. The 7th house is the place that symbolizes the other. Often, you find romantic partners and different types of significant others and any meaningful relationship like a business partnership. With the new moon happening here, you can expect to enter a new phase in your life. Many of your relationships could be transitioning into a new phase, and some of you might even be parting ways with old relationships that don't support you much. This is especially true for the Libras who are 18, 30, 42 or 54 and were born during the night. There's a lot more to this transit that we'll explore, but you can expect big changes in your significant relationships for the most part. Now, the other transit that adds on the theme of separation to these relationship-related transits is the Saturn and Mars conjunction happening just a few days after on April 4th. This combo generates boundaries and splits, and Mars, as the ruler of your 7th house, has to use these themes to manage your love life. While this is most certainly not a sign that every single Libra in the world is about to break up or fight with their partner, this transit is still not the most comfortable. Because it happens in your 5th house of pleasure, it could be that what arises out of this event is the mutual understanding of dissatisfactions that may be present in your relationship. You can be ready to tackle difficult questions such as what you want out of your partner and whether they can provide it or are willing to learn how to offer it in the first place. Don't be afraid to be stern, but watch out for yelling matches. There's a way to do this with maturity and poise. However, on a good note, the full moon of the month happens in your own sign, illuminating the 1st house of self. Putting this together with the new moon, we get quite an interesting narrative. It could be that this rough patch in the way you interact with others helps you understand a different side of yourself you might have neglected in the past. The ruler of this moon would be Venus, who enters your 6th house on the 5th of the month right after the Mars and Saturn transit. While in Libra's 6th house, Venus gains a lot of power by being in a sign that provides her with the tools she's familiar with. The 6th house does deal with labor and physical tiredness. This then paints the picture of this moon marking a time for healing and revitalizing. One of Libra's most known traits is its focus on fairness and opening up space for others. Though, this lunation says it's time to work on yourself, and especially your physical well-being. This need to focus on your healthcare routine is mainly attributed to the conjunction of Venus and Jupiter happening in your 6th house at the very end of the month. It points to an easier time starting healthier habits and taking your diet and workout schedule more seriously. Venus doesn't only rule your 1st house, but it also rules the 8th of death. And I'm sure death sounds like a scary topic, but this death is the philosophical kind, like the death of the old self and the birth of a new you. So, this is really a time to envision who you want to become and go for it without any excuses. Lastly, the month comes to a close with a trine happening in this same 8th house, along with your 4th house. The trine involved Mercury along with Pluto just as he gets ready to go retrograde. This transit lends a helping hand on your journey towards this rebirth of self by asking you to reflect on what cultivates laziness or inactivity in your surroundings. Since the trine is a positive aspect, these adverse effects your surroundings have on your productivity will be almost too obvious, giving you the chance to change them right as you see them. Libra, it sounds like you have an entire month ahead of you. It's time to really tackle any bad habits or bad relationships so you can move forward into this year with a fresh vision. Good luck!